Owen opens his laptop before you sit down. The document is already titled Hold Co. 2 columns, your name in one, his in the other. He slides the screen toward you like a menu. You ask what this is. He says structure. He says capital without structure turns into noise. He has said that sentence before. He said it about other people's money. Now he is saying it about yours. 3 months earlier, The Wire hit on a gray Tuesday. You had built a small scheduling tool in the evenings for 2 years. No co-founder, no office, a lawyer, a buyer, and a signature. The lawyer's line was flat and final. After fees and the one tax estimate, what landed was $2.8 million. One number. Then silence in the account like a held breath. You told 3 people. Owen was the second. He brought over takeout the same night and listened with both hands around a glass. He said he always knew the thing had legs. He said the real work starts now. He left his notebook open on your table by accident. A page headed leverage map. Your name circled twice. You laughed. You thought it was affection. The next week he sent a shared calendar called New Chapter. Blocks labeled banking, brand, and long game. He had put himself in half of them. You let it ride. You had always been the one who built. He had always been the one who talked the room into believing the build mattered. That division felt old and comfortable. You did not want to be the person who got money and got cold. Owen quit the part-time bar job he hated. He told the manager he was moving into advisory work. He told you over coffee that proximity is a form of sweat equity. He said it lightly. He watched your face when he said it. You bought the coffee. You said you were glad he had time now. You meant it. He started arriving at your place with printed one-pagers. A members club for people who had just exited. A quiet fund for tools like the one you sold. A retreat in a rented house upstate with a long table and no phones. Each pitch came with a mood board and a domain he had already bought. $42 here. Another $30 there. He put the receipts in a folder labeled Seed. You paid him back for the domains without comment. It felt small. It felt kind. At dinner, he corrected the waiter's description of the special and then corrected your order. He said your palate was still in the old tax bracket. He smiled when he said it. You laughed because the alternative was a fight in public. He reorganized the shelf by the window. He said the room needed to signal that decisions happened here. He bought a plant you did not ask for and a lamp that cost more than your old monthly transit pass. $800. He left the box in the hall like a gift you had already accepted. You asked him once, gently, what he thought his role was. He said chief of staff without blinking. He said every person who suddenly has options needs someone who can see the whole board. He tapped his temple. He had always been good at the board. You had always been good at the pieces. You wanted that to be true. You had watched him talk strangers into better versions of their own plans for years. You had watched him run out of money in the same years. The combination had always looked like bad luck instead of a pattern. Your sister called and asked if Owen was on payroll. You said of course not. She waited. You filled the silence with a story about how he had believed in the app early. She said believing is not a line item. You changed the subject. Owen drafted a simple operating agreement on a Sunday. He left the percentages blank for you to fill in a spirit of collaboration. He had written vision partner under his name. He had written builder under yours. He said the labels kept ego out of it. You did not sign. You said you needed a week. He nodded like a man granting a continuance. In the week, he invited 2 acquaintances over to pressure test the thesis. They sat on your couch and spoke about vehicles and exposure. Owen poured water like a host. When they left, he said the room had energy. You said the room had your furniture. You went to the only professional you trusted and put the situation in one sentence. She said pay people for work after the work exists. Then she closed the folder. That was the entire meeting. You walked home along the bright sidewalk and tried to decide what you owed a person who had been kind before the number arrived. Kindness before a number is real. It is also not a convertible note. Owen texted a photo of a vacant storefront. He said the light was perfect for a studio that could hold workshops and a small product line. He said we could be in by spring. The word we sat in the message like a second rent. You met him there. The agent handed you both packets. Owen's name was already on the interest form. He had listed you as capital partner. He said it was only logistics. You stood in the empty room with the afternoon coming through the dirty glass, dust in the beam. Owen paced the square footage and spoke about membership tiers. You asked him what he would build if the money were not yours. He stopped. He said that was a hypothetical that wasted time. He said the money is here. The board is set. The only question is whether you play. You heard the sentence he had been practicing for months. Capital without vision is just a number. He had said it so often it had started to sound like weather. You asked to see the plan with numbers instead of light. He opened his laptop on a windowsill. There was the mood board. There was the domain list. There was a page titled Runway that assumed a monthly draw for both of you. 12,000 for him. A note that your draw could be flexible because you already had security. No customers. No product. No timeline that survived a second look. You closed the laptop. You told him the sale had cleared at 2.8 million. You said the number out loud for the first time in front of him. It landed in the empty room and made the dust look slower. He nodded too fast. He said that was exactly why the structure could not wait. You told him there would be no holdco, no storefront, no joint calendar. You would give him 15,000 once as a gift, no equity, no role, no board. He could build any of the ideas under his own name. You would not be on the lease, the deck, or the about page. He stared at you as if you had moved a piece off the table. He said you were protecting the money from the only person who knew how to aim it. He said this was how people become lonely with a balance. You said you were protecting the friendship from a job description he had written alone. You said the notebook with the leverage map had been funny until it became a floor plan. He took the gift. He said it felt smaller once the conditions were attached. You agreed. It was smaller. That was the design. 2 weeks later, he posted a photo of a new desk and a sentence about bootstrapping with intention. He did not tag you. The domains expired on their own. You kept the job you still liked 3 days a week because the week still needed a shape. You moved the plant he bought into the better light and kept it alive. You took the holdco document out of the shared folder and put a single copy in a drawer you do not open for ordinary reasons. On a bright morning, you open your own laptop. No second column, no chief of staff. The calendar has your name on the blocks that matter and empty space where his used to be. You answer a message from the buyer about a small handoff detail. You answer slowly. You can afford the slow answer now. That is the only thing the money had to buy. The rest, you are still deciding on purpose. You walk to the window and open it. The street sounds ordinary. A delivery cart? Someone laughing 2 floors down? Nothing has changed out there because the number arrived. You make coffee the slow way. You measure the grounds. You wait for the bloom. Owen used to talk through this part. He filled every quiet minute with the next move. The quiet holds now. It does not ask for a thesis. Your phone lights up once, a short note from the lawyer. The last transfer cleared clean. No further action required. You set the phone face down. You do not forward it to anyone. In the afternoon, you meet your sister at the park she likes. She does not bring a listing. She does not ask for a number. She asks how the week feels. You tell her the calendar has empty space again. She nods like that is the win. You mention the 15,000. She says good. She says a clean edge is kinder than a long maybe. You watch a kid chase a ball past the bench. You agree without adding more. Evening comes in through the same dirty glass the storefront once had. You are home. You open a blank page. Not a deck. Not a structure. A list of 3 things you still want to build for no one else's board. The first one is small enough to finish alone. You start it before dinner. Halfway through the second hour, you laugh at nothing. The sound surprises you. It is not relief exactly. It is the sound of a room that no longer needs a chief of staff. You leave the plant in the better light. You water it. You do not take a photo. Later, you pass the drawer with the single holdco copy. You do not open it. You already know what the columns said. Your name. His name. The blank percentages he left for collaboration. The blanks were never blank. They were a request written in negative space. You turn off the lamp he chose. The room stays warm without it. Tomorrow you will answer another slow message. You will keep the 3-day job. You will let the rest of the money sit where it landed. No leverage map. No joint calendar. Only the work you choose and the quiet that lets you choose it.